York.
Brought to you by GPO Federal Credit Union. Now, your eyewitness weather forecast.
And a good Tuesday evening to you once again. I'm meteorologist Jordan Reed. Thankfully, we're getting this unsettled weather out of the way for the most part before we get into the Memorial Day weekend. And by then, we will finally start a drying trend and a moderating trend in terms of the temperature, too. But before we get to that, we do have some cooler days to get through. One of them was today, the high temperature 57 degrees, which is still about 10 to 15 degrees colder than average for this time of year, but still about 10 degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday when we had a high of 49 and a low of 42. Obviously, in some areas it was a little bit cooler than that with the frost, and obviously not anywhere near the records for today. Right now, we're not far from that high temperature. It's 56 still in downtown Utica as of 6:09 under cloudy skies. We have a north-northwesterly wind at 9 miles an hour, and it still feels like 56. And that dew point has also come up a little bit since yesterday as well. It was down into the 30s. Today it's into the 40s, and temperatures right now are into the 40s and 50s. For the most part 50s, but we have a couple of 40s, like 49 in Boonville, 46 in Old Forge, same thing over in Rutland, Vermont behind me. And it's also dry across our entire viewing area right now and the areas surrounding it as well. But as you take a look off toward the southwest, we've got this storm system now making its way into parts of Michigan, Pennsylvania, getting into Cleveland, Ohio now as well. And it'll head offshore during the day tomorrow, and it'll bring rain with it as well. So not so much rain tonight. We'll see a lot of clouds from it, as you can see here on the next 12-hour forecast, and temperatures dipping from between 55 and 60 during the overnight hours under cloudy, if not mostly cloudy skies, and frost, unlike last night. There is a chance of some thunderstorms along the southern tier, maybe into portions of Pennsylvania, but that's far to the south and west, and you even have to go further to the south and west during the day tomorrow to find a very low risk for severe weather running from southeastern Ohio down into the two Virginias, both Virginia and West Virginia. So obviously, we don't have to worry about any severe weather here, although I wouldn't be surprised if down toward the southwest there were a rumble of thunder or two during the day tomorrow, just because of the amount of energy that there is there. Most of us will just see some steady light rain during the day tomorrow, but before we get to that, we'll have a mostly cloudy night, and then rain developing during the afternoon into the evening hours. It'll be, again, steady and light in nature. Could be a few moderate pockets down there as well. Actually, our southern areas is where we're expected to have the most amount of rain, and Thursday looks even wetter than tomorrow as well. So if you can get your mowing in early during the day tomorrow, because Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as well, you'll want to avoid it when we have those high rain chances. But finally drying out for the second two out of 3 days of our Memorial Day weekend. We'll have temperatures in the 50s as we go through Wednesday through Saturday, finally moderating into the middle and upper 60s, closer to average under a mix of sun and clouds for our Memorial Day weekend, Thomas.
And it looks like those clouds will do just enough to keep it cool enough for those Memorial Day parades and ceremonies, Jordan.
Yeah, at least it's not raining on those parades, so that's the plus sign.
Plus, the sun won't be beating down on everyone when
it won't be 80s and 90s like we've had in previous years.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Coming up next on...
Is brought to you by Nye Automotive Group. Come see why it's gotta be Nye. Now, your eyewitness weather forecast.
And welcome back to Eyewitness News. First at 10, I'm meteorologist Jordan Reed, tracking continually below average temperatures and some rain, unfortunately, heading our way. But as far as today was concerned, we were actually about 10 degrees above, I should say, where we were yesterday. Yesterday's high 49. We're still about 12 degrees below average for this time of year. The average high 70 degrees. And temperatures were obviously a little bit chillier this morning than the last couple of mornings when we did have some frost in the outlying areas, and temperatures in the upper 30s there. Right now it's still 50 degrees even as of 10:19 this evening, with mostly cloudy skies in downtown Utica. That's the case over most of our area right now, but temperatures for most of us, with the exception of Utica at 50 and Dolgeville at 52, are in the middle and upper 40s at this time, and we have a couple of 50s outside of our viewing area as well. And as far as our radar in the immediate viewing area and surrounding it, it is quiet, but that's going to change as we head through the next 12 to 24 hours. Reason being is because we have an area of low pressure over Minnesota and Wisconsin that will swing up through Canada and eventually into New England, and that's what's producing all these severe thunderstorm, tornado, and flash flood warnings through the mid-south right now. And unfortunately for them, that's the second night and second week in a row that we're seeing it. Thankfully, we won't be seeing anything like that here, but we will see a little bit of a breeze as we head through, not so much the overnight hours, but once we get past 6 or 7 in the morning, we'll see a northeasterly breeze at around 10 to to 15 miles an hour, and there could be some higher gusts at times. The good news, though, is that, as I mentioned, we won't see a severe weather threat, although even though it doesn't show it here on this map, there could be a rumble of thunder or two in our southern counties, so basically the closer you head to the Pennsylvania border. But you have to go really far to the southwest to find a very low risk for severe weather, as indicated by that darker green color. That includes Virginia, West Virginia, southeastern Ohio, southwestern Pennsylvania, thinking the Pittsburgh area essentially. But as far as tonight goes, we'll have increasing clouds and temperatures that will make their way down into the 40s, and then eventually we'll get into the 50s during the day tomorrow, and temperatures right close to where they should, or close to where they were today. And as far as rainfall goes between now and Friday, we could see around an inch, if not a little bit more than that, especially as you head down toward the southwest. Rain chances remaining high. Once we get into the weekend, though, that starts to change. Temperatures around 45 tonight, mostly cloudy with a warmer feel. Winds out of the east-southeast at 5 to 10, so no frost tonight. And then it'll become wet and unsettled with highs, but once again between 55 and 60, although obviously we'll have more in the way of clouds and rain, especially once we get into the afternoon. And then temperatures struggling to get into the mid-50s for both Thursday and Friday. Friday looks like the worst of it is behind us. Saturday will start the weekend with those showers and a gusty wind, but then it finally improves for both Sunday and Memorial Day on Monday.
Absolutely, Jordan. It looks like it's going to be a little cloudy, but still decent conditions if you're heading out to a Memorial Day parade.
Yeah, absolutely. There will be more clouds than the sun at times, but at least it won't rain on the parade like it has in previous years.
And it won't be too hot either.
Absolutely.
Plenty of action tonight from our local team.
With your eyewitness weather forecast. And as far as our weather forecast goes over the next couple of days, we're going to have a lot of clouds and seasonably cool temperatures, as well as some rain. Today was one of those seasonably cool days as well. 58 degrees for the high, and that's actually about 9 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. Yesterday's high 49, still about 10 degrees below, 12 degrees, I should say, below the average of 70. But again, we will take the warmer temperatures that we had than yesterday, in spite of the fact that we had a lot of clouds, not a lot of sun today. The clouds continue right now. We're actually at 49 degrees at this time, the average low 48. So we're not far from that. Temperatures will drop a few more degrees during the overnight hours, and we still have a couple of 50s out there right now, like Dodgeville 52, Camden at 51, and in Cooperstown, Baseball Hall of Fame right now, is 51 degrees down in the village there. The rest of us are into the middle and upper 40s, and the radar is dry at this time, but that's going to change within the next 18 to 24 hours or so, as we have another storm system heading our way. Right now it's located over the Iowa and Minnesota border right now, but it'll eventually track into southern Canada and up into New England, and as it does so, it will drag all of this rain with it. Thankfully, we're not looking at any severe weather, but we could be looking at some higher wind gusts at times during the day tomorrow. It will be quite breezy out there, and the gusts won't be too bad to start, but as we head through the afternoon, the winds will be out of the southeast and eventually out of the east, gusting at times 20 to 25, maybe 30 miles an hour at best, but we're not looking at any severe weather, as I just mentioned. There may be, even though it doesn't show it here on this map, there could be a rumble of thunder or two, the exception and not the rule, across areas closer toward the Pennsylvania border, the Interstate 88 corridor. But for most of us, it'll just be a light to moderate rain. There could be some heavier pockets in those areas that I just told you about. Other than that, we'll be dealing with a lot of clouds during the overnight hours. Otherwise dry, and then the rain moves in tomorrow afternoon from the southwest up toward the north and east, and it looks like areas down toward the southwest will have the heaviest rain as we go through not only tomorrow but Thursday and Friday before it's all said and done. I'll show you that coming up here in just a second. So again, areas for most of us will see around, give or take, an inch. As you head into this purple area down toward the southwest, there could be as much as 1.5 inches, and same thing closer toward Lake Ontario as well, lesser than that toward the north and east. And then finally, once we get past Friday and into the Memorial Day weekend, we will start to see the rain chances become more spotty before we eventually dry out. For tonight, though, 45 degrees, mostly cloudy with a warmer feel than last night, so we won't be dealing with any frost and that east-southeasterly breeze. Tomorrow will be between 55 and 60. So close to where we were today, but it becomes wet and unsettled and quite breezy as we head through the afternoon. Temperatures both Thursday and Friday. Look at that. Thursday looks like the wettest day of the next 7, and both Thursday and Friday temperatures struggling to get into the mid-50s. We finally break the upper 50s on Saturday, and then Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. That includes your Memorial Day weekend, warming up and drying out as well.
And right in time for Memorial Day. Maybe we could go a little bit warmer, but the conditions are actually pretty good for Memorial Day parades.
Yeah, thankfully it's not just any weekend, but thankfully most of this rain is falling during the week as opposed to it being the opposite of that, having sun during the week and rain on the Memorial Day weekend.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Coming up next on Eyewitness News.